Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending Dallas ISD's zoning meeting for Thomas Jefferson High School and Walnut Hill Pre-K-8 campus. This zoning meeting is to identify how the construction as well as the long-term operations of the campus will be affecting the local neighborhood, the surrounding environment. And on our team, we have our architects from VAI. We have our construction manager at risk, Core Construction. From the city of Dallas, we have Councilmember Gates, as well as your CPC representative, Margot Murphy. And we have other executives from Dallas ISD also listening in on this presentation. So we'll go ahead and get started, and I will hand this over to VAI and our project architect, Ola Roos.
Thank you, Joe. So my name is Ola Roos. I'm the senior project manager for this project, these projects. And I appreciate everyone taking the time to join us this evening to listen in on this update and presentation. We are going to show you the project as it's developed and how our response to community input from neighborhood groups, school, and City of Dallas has developed. We're going to focus on the site for today's meeting. There will be additional community meetings later in the month on the 20th and the 21st of May with more specific information on both schools. There will be additional information sent out for those meetings. They will be in the evening. At the end of this presentation, there will be an opportunity for feedback and questions. We anticipate about 15 minutes to go through this presentation. So by that time, we'll have the Q&A. So what we'll cover today is we're gonna look at the schedule of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. The site plan, how it's developed over time with feedback and input from earlier charrettes and community meetings. We're gonna look at the traffic, as we've developed the traffic plan at this point, and we're going to look at the anticipated construction staging. So moving forward, this slide is the pre-tornado condition. As you can see, there was some construction work in activity on TJ at the time. There was a 13 classroom addition and administration addition, and some of the foundation and steel was put in place. There were some site work done with additional driveways. Some of this work will be incorporated into the current project to make the best of what we have. So this is the schedule. The blue bar, the vertical blue bar, is showing where we are. So immediately after the tornado, the district went in and started doing damage assessment. And shortly after, we started looking at pre-design that included programming. How would we come back and rebuild these schools? And there were several options developed, and at the board meeting in January, it was approved to proceed with the project. We're currently about a little more than a third into the design documentation. We've had several community meetings to get feedback from parents, students, neighborhood, to make sure we have the engagement as we move forward. At this point in May, there's going to be activity on the site. The contractor is mobilizing, and we'll see demolition starting towards the end of the month. towards August, September, we'll start seeing some work on the site to develop the new site elements, and the actual vertical construction of new facilities is anticipated to start in January of 21. And move-in for teachers is in July of 22, and the students will be entering in August of 22. So it's a 33-month effort, and we're about a third into it to get everything moving and completed by August 22. So a quick recap. This is a drone photo taken shortly after the tornado. As you know, Cary Middle School is a total loss and will be demolished completely. Parts of Thomas Jefferson will be demolished, primarily the cafeteria, the ROTC area. The portables were a total loss. And as you can see on this slide, there's also evidence of some of the new construction being underway that's going to be incorporated. One of the items that will have impact, and it's a traffic light at Walnut Hill in the middle of the site. That's being replaced with a smart light, and I will talk a little bit more about that and the impact of that later in this presentation. So this is the current site plan. The dark blue represent the part of Thomas Jefferson that will remain and be renovated. And the light blue is additions to Thomas Jefferson, as well as a new Walnut Hill pre-K-8 school, replacing the old Cary Middle School. And the total square footage for Thomas Jefferson will end up being around 330,000 square feet with a capacity of 2,200 students. Walnut Hill PK8 is about 113,000 square feet with an 800 student capacity. So I will talk a little bit about traffic on the following slides. I do want to mention we are reconfiguring the ball fields. A lot of the site facilities got damaged during the tornado. So we're providing new soft and baseball fields, new tennis courts. We're also providing a soccer field for the soccer teams on campus, new practice field. We're replacing the surface on the existing football field and track with turf. And we're also upgrading the landscaping around the perimeter. So this slide shows the planned traffic flow for pre-K-8, where parents will come in from Hedgeway Drive on the north side of Walnut Hill PK8, drop off their kids, and then exit out towards the south. And with a new traffic light on Walnut Hill, we can schedule that to be efficient during the peak hours in the morning and the afternoons to maximize the efficiency of traffic, both coming off the site, so we avoid having too much congestion. Buses will be coming off Gooding Drive, coming across the site, dropping off on the south of Walnut Hill, and then exit out on Hedgeway Drive. Now, the traffic will be staggered between grades, so that is an important piece of how this whole traffic pattern works. Moving on, this is the traffic pattern for Thomas Jefferson. We're taking in parent traffic from Hedgeway Drive. We have a drop off on the west side of TJ. Same exit on Walnut Hill at the traffic light. Student traffic is coming in from Hedgeway as well, with a student parking centralized on the site to minimize impact on the surrounding neighborhood. And buses are coming off Gooding, looping around and having a stacking spot north of the school, both in the morning and the afternoon, before picking up or dropping off or picking up students before exiting on Gooding Drive. So we spent a fair amount of time talking to the neighbors and the city and parents about how to manage traffic, and we feel that this is probably the most efficient way we can handle traffic to avoid impacting the neighborhood streets. The new traffic light at Walnut Hill is going to be a key element to make that traffic flow work, because we can schedule the cycling on that. Moving on. This slide represents the staging for construction. So the contractor has identified 3 areas where they're going to do construction staging and laydown. The intent is to use Walnut Hill entrance at the traffic light for the main construction entrance. During the early stages of construction, there will be some traffic on Hedgeway and Gooding until the internal roadways can be constructed for internal traffic. So we'll see some traffic at the demo phases, but as soon as that site work is done, the Walnut Hill intersection will be the main entry and exit point. And the construction right now is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, which is the standard construction times for a city of Dallas. And wrapping up, we're showing a couple of renderings of where we are currently with a conceptual design showing volumes, materials. We're taking the cue from the mid-century design and also input from previous community meetings for where we're going. So the final design for both schools may be slightly different, but this is the direction we're going. This is the south entrance of Thomas Jefferson off Walnut Hill. And this would be Walnut Hill PK8, a view from the parent drop-off or Killian Drive. So with that, we have opportunity for everyone to provide comments, questions through the link shown on this slide. And with this, I'm going to turn it over to Joe.
Yes, hello everybody. We have a last minute arrival, and I know that she wanted to address everybody. Council member Jennifer Gates, she is online. I'm not sure if you wanted to speak right now, ma'am, or you want to wait till the end of questions.
Here, sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Jennifer Gates. No, I just, you wanted to just make everybody aware that I was here listening. I watched the presentation, and I'm really here to hear the input from others. And so, if if people are here from the neighborhood or that are parents of students at the schools, my office is here to take your input as we go through this process. I know the CPC Commissioner, Margot Murphy, is also online as well. And so I just wanted to, make that known that I'm here and I'm listening, and I want to make sure that we get all the neighborhood's issues addressed as we move through this process.
All right, thank you.
So how do we know how many people are listening in? Will we get a list like we usually do with sign-ins?
Yes, we should be able to get a list once the session is over.
Okay.
We'll be able to pull all that information and make it public.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to mute now and listen in. Thanks.
All right, thank you. You're still muted, Margot.
Thank you for letting me jump in. I just want to make sure that everyone listening in has had an opportunity or understands the process for submitting questions. If you could kind of go over that just one time, please.
Yes, there is a Google Notes page that is off of the district's website, and people are typing in their questions there, and they're getting fed to me over this line, and I'll go into those questions here in just a second. So, all right, we have our first question. It is, which middle school is being replaced, and are there changes being proposed for feeder patterns, or is this just about construction? Today's meeting is strictly about construction and how it'll impact the short-term and long-term operations and traffic around the neighborhood. Attendance zoning, I believe, is one thing that this question is kind of asking. But no, that will be a separate meeting that the district will hold later on down the road when they're preparing to bring students into the campus. All right. Question number 2 is, what will you be doing to make sure this building is energy efficient and water efficient? It's important to keep the district's operating costs low so more dollars can be spent on student instruction and to ensure that we're preserving a healthy and livable planet for the students the ISD is serving. I will let Ola from VAI answer that question.
So as far as energy efficiency, we are looking at several options. As part of a project for DISD, we are targeting chips, which is kind of a holistic approach to both energy efficiency and a healthy environment for the kids. So that's kind of the baseline. We are pursuing and looking at other options to improve the sustainability aspect of the project. But at the end of the day, these buildings will be energy efficient and adhere to that philosophy.
Okay, thank you, Ola. I have an answer here additional for question number 1. To which middle school was being replaced. The Walnut Hill PK-8 campus replaces the previous Walnut Hill campus, which was damaged by a tornado, and there are no planned changes right now for any attendance boundaries. Okay, we have another question. It is, what will be happening to the old Walnut Hill Elementary School building? Any construction coming up? If so, what is the timing? That campus right now is outside of the scope that we have right now for the pre-K-8 and Thomas Jefferson site. That one, I don't know, Ryan, if you have a brief update of what this might be for the old Walnut Hill campus. Okay. There we go. Can you hear me, Ryan?
Joe, yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you. Yeah, just a little update. Their district is currently exploring some options to possibly utilize that as a career institute in the future, but I'm not sure that all the details have been finalized on that just yet.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
And can I just clarify, somebody had, I think, has asked about Cary Middle School.
Yes.
Cary Middle School, when the building was damaged, the attendance boundary was changed at that point, and those students were split over to between Franklin and Medrano Middle Schools, and those boundaries will remain the same. So any student that was previously zoned to go to Cary will now in future years be attending Medrano Middle School, and then the Walnut Hill attendance zone will remain the same.
Okay. This is a note for those of you watching on Facebook. You can also submit your questions to the comments section there. We also get that feed here. So if you're listening on Facebook Live, feel free to submit your questions in the comments section. Okay. Okay, we have another question regarding student parking in the neighborhood streets has been an issue. What allowances have been made that parking capacity is sufficient over the long term and not just today's demographics? Concerned we are just designing for today and not for tomorrow. Okay, this question I can field it to Hunter Lemley. He is our traffic engineer. He can provide the proper response for that one.
Thank you. To answer that question, I would say that we have looked at how we have looked at the square footage of what the existing demand is for queuing and stacking for parents. And with that, we've gotten that through observations that we made when school was in session, and through what was there then, we have applied to what is needed for now, and we've been able to, with reconfiguring of the site, we've been able to accommodate all that demand on site through calculations that we do for any school. And we've done multiple schools with that same philosophy, and this one's no different. So we are fairly confident, very confident, that we'd be able to accommodate all that on site based on what we observed out in the existing condition.
All right, thank you, Hunter. Here's another question.
Wait,
Oh, go ahead, Margo.
Joseph, it's Margo Murphy, City Plan Commissioner. I believe the question was about sufficient student parking, not sufficient queue length. Did I misunderstand the question? I want to make sure that the question was properly addressed.
You are correct. Student
Yes,
parking.
so sorry. So that is on the same lines of we observed what the demand for student parking was as well. through just data collection, and using those existing data collection, we have applied to what the site layout is today. And through those calculations and observations, we applied it, and we believe that it will be sufficient.
Okay, if I may, Mr. Sweat, I'd like to jump in. Hunter, if you could address where the students' parking will be, because I'm not sure that was made clear in the original presentation. There are 2 parking lots that are on the site plan, so I would like the members of the public to know where the student parking is located. And second of all, I would like you to give them some numbers. Based on historical student parking at TJ, how many students parked and how many parking spaces will be available under the new plan? And I'll mute again. Thank you.
All right. Ola, can you go back to the overall site plan, please? There we go. And actually, can you move to the TJ traffic plan? Because I think that one identifies student. Okay, there we go. Hunter and Ola, if you want to identify.
Yeah, parking for students will be located west of the building where those blue arrows are entering into and exiting out. So yeah, in all those spaces that I don't have the number on top of my head, which Ola may or may not have, but with all those spaces, that accommodates what was needed when we did previous observations. Ola, feel free to add it to that.
Well, like you said, the numbers are not here, but it is covering what's required from what we worked out as student parking. So this is planned to be student parking, and then we have teacher parking on the north side of the school.
Okay. Let's see.
Joe?
Yes, Carl.
I can add to that. When Hunter, prior to the tornado, did observations, he counted all the cars associated with both teachers and students on TJ, and it was 296. Right now, we're proposing over 450 parking spaces for the TJ part of the campus, plus the required spaces for the pre-K-8. So we feel confident there's a lot of growth in there. It also allows some places for parents if they want to stop and park, I guess, waiting to pick up their students. And that's put in the plan also. So I think there's a considerable amount of extra parking on campus.
Yes, with 400, a little over 400 spaces, I believe so. All right, thank you, Carl. Next question is, as parents drive up to drop off students at Walnut Hill PK8, are they going to be able to leave the grounds at other exits, or are they going to have to use Walnut Hill Linnell exit? Hunter, this is another question for you.
Yeah, we highly want to encourage parents to drive south down to Walnut Hill because of the signal there. We want to utilize that to the maximum ability that we can, and it'll provide a lot more flexibility and efficiency to getting parents out of the campus in a timely manner. So it is very intentional to have parents drive down to Walnut Hill to provide that option.
All right, thank you. Another question is, has DISD considered all of the other schools' traffic patterns and enrollment numbers, especially Santa Monica and ESD, so that our neighborhoods aren't flooded at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day? We already have extremely long lines at Walnut Hill and Midway from both west and north. Okay. Hunter, I believe that one's also in your realm.
Yes, thanks. Sorry, I want to reread it and make sure I understand the question exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say we exhausted all options and traffic patterns that could be used um, to use this site that's given to us most efficiently. And we believe as a team that this is the most efficient way possible, specifically using the signal that will be located on Walnut Hill. That just gives us so much capacity and flexibility to maneuver parents from exiting the site, both for PK through 8 and for Thomas Jefferson High School. So, and it just utilizes what's given us to the best efficiency. Routing traffic in any other way just didn't seem possible and realistic.
All right, thank you, Hunter. In that same question, there was a comment of what is the total number of students projected in both schools? Thomas
Joe,
Jefferson.
Joe, I have that for both campuses. You're looking at projected next year right around 2,300 students. Probably the more important number out of that, TJ, is a little over 1,800, and about 300 of those are seniors. So I think that question is probably more geared towards the number of cars and the number of people driving potentially, which is a much smaller number than the total projections.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. All right. Okay, question number 8 is, what is the proposed zoning changes being submitted this week? It said notices were not clear of specifics. No? Carl, can you answer that one?
Sure. The zoning today, each campus has its own zoning on it today. They were put on there a number of years ago. And the zoning proposal that's going to the City Plan Commission this Thursday, and then would then go to the City Council afterwards, is to combine those two into one zoning category. And the zoning category is a planned development district, which means that the rules are written just for this campus. There's no other campus or planned development district in the city that will have the same rules and the same documentation to go with it. In this case, the documentation is the site plan, the traffic management plans, for one for the pre-K-8, one for the high school. They'll have a landscape plan that goes with it. And that's what's before the Plan Commission and City Council. We basically have taken those two older planned development districts, the one for Cary and the one for Thomas Jefferson, and sort of combined them into one consolidated campus for the two schools. And then obviously the site plans changed because of the new pre-K-8 school and the changes to Thomas Jefferson. So that's what's before you, is a new planned development district.
All right. Thank you, Carl. All right, question number 9 is, what sort of landscaping and security is planned for the perimeter of the property? Ola, I believe this one is yours.
So, yes, so we will be working with the city to establish the landscaping on the perimeter. There will be fencing around the fields to secure the site. And we will actually, we show some of this on this site plan here, that we have fencing coming out, closing off, going around the ball fields, coming up and kind of closing on Walnut Hill, come over on the other side, and out around the ball fields. So We do have fencing around it, the front of schools. We're still kind of working on the details on how we're dealing with these front areas, but the whole site will be fenced in per district standards.
All right, thank you, Ola. Okay, we have another question. It is asking, what is the proposed square foot per student for the school buildings, and how does that compare to other DISD or other ISD schools? Ola, can you address that question?
So it's a little bit of a mix. The existing areas are based on the existing classrooms, but the new additions will be based on the ed space. I don't have the exact square footage, and I'm not sure it's per student. I think it's per function or per classroom, but it is based, everything in the light blue is based on the new current ed specs. And we can post that information if needed.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ola. Okay, we have a question here regarding net zero. It's specifically talking about Lady Bird Johnson Middle School. It's a net zero building generating as much energy as it uses each year. So when it was certified at the gold LEEDs level, it missed platinum by just 3 points. Today, it meets all of the school building requirements of the Dallas Comprehensive Environment and Climate Action Plan, even though its energy-saving technology is now a decade old. That since then, operational financial data for Lady Bird Johnson School is showing the energy. I'll start with answering part of this question, and I'll let Ola finish the question. One of the directions that we received from the district as we started this reconstruction process is to research and look into all the possibilities of net zero and how can we bring that technology into the district. Right now, we are only at the schematic design level, and we are having discussions with all the stakeholders that would be involved in determining the feasibility for net zero for this campus, and particularly the Walnut Hill PK-8, it being a new building. It does present the opportunity for that. So, Ola, I don't know if you want to add anything to that response.
Well, it kind of goes back to one of my comments during the initial presentation is we're looking into the options we have. Right now, it's we've got chips, we got LEED, there's net zero out there. They all have different requirements, and we're trying to see how it works out both practically and budget-wise. So there's value to each approach, and we're evaluating which one is the best fit for this project.
Thank you, Ola. Another question said, where will parents and fans park for school-related sports activities, especially football, soccer, and baseball? Do you see, or do you foresee bleeding into our neighborhoods? Okay, Ola?
I mean, I can kind of answer that too.
Oh, Sandy?
When you're looking at TJ Sports, none of our facilities except for baseball and softball are large enough or right enough to actually have competitions there. So only softball and baseball have we ever had actual real games. Now that there's going to be a real basketball court, we'll probably have real games there as well. But I don't foresee any problem whatsoever being able to house with over 400 parking spots. There's no reason why anyone should bleed into the parking lot for basketball, baseball, or softball outside the parking lot.
All right. Thank you, Sandy. All right. Another question is, have we considered solar panels, community garden, and maybe recycling water and reading areas? Okay. Ola, this one's in your realm.
So we are looking at solar panels to see if that's a viable option, or at least preparing for it, particularly at the PK-8. The community garden item is, we've got some raised gardens planned at the PK-8, at least for the students to engage in the gardening thing. And they actually, they show up in this slide here. So these are planters for garden. So hopefully that answers the question. Oh, the recycling water. We're looking at including some cisterns to reclaim water, especially to water the immediate fields around the school.
All right. Thank you, Ola. Another question is basically, prior to the tornado, there were issues with students and other parking on the street. In this presentation, you do not seem to have adequately considered that the vehicles previously parked at Walnut Hill Elementary School are going to be utilizing the presently proposed campus, in addition to the inevitable rise in student population in years to come. Okay, I had mentioned that we would be encouraging parents regarding the following traffic guidelines. This should not be part of the plan, as encouragement will be impossible to enforce. Okay. Hunter, can you address this question or this comment?
Yeah, at least as best as I could. I would say that for the first part of that question, our parking meets code. I don't think I could comment on it any more than that, other than what I've already said for the student parking for Thomas Jefferson. But also, I would like to comment on the second part of that, is that the encouragement part would be, yes, I guess you can't enforce it, but we can set up traffic patterns through placement of cones, with staff assistance anywhere that's needed to encourage parents to be guided a certain way. So I think, yes, where this question is coming from, of the impossible to enforce, yes, though I agree with that. I think there are ways that we can accommodate that through different types of measures, that where it can be possible to encourage parents to follow a certain guideline.
All right. Thank you, Hunter. There is a comment regarding the Walnut Hill Elementary property, addressing a Career Institute parking. Ryan, can you answer that question, please?
Yeah, the question is cut off, but I'm assuming there's a question maybe about the additional parking perhaps in the neighborhood. Just specifically with all of our career institutes, there will be no students driving to and from those sites, and that's across the city. So there would be very little to none actually student traffic traveling to those sites.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. Okay. Oh, here's the rest of the question. It just came through. Was opposed. Okay, it said additionally, forcing vocational school on the Walnut Hill Elementary property was and remains opposed by many in the surrounding neighborhood. Said this was voiced at a neighborhood presentation at ESD. Okay. I'm sure that there will be a separate set of meetings and community engagement meetings to address the existing Walnut Hill Elementary property. All right, we have a question from Facebook. They're asking if both schools are independent or will they have a connection and share areas? All right, Ola, if you want to begin to address this one.
Actually, I think Sandy may be better positioned to answer how they
Okay.
coordinate with the PK8.
Okay, say the question again, Ola.
The question is, both schools are independent or have connection, share all their areas for both schools?
No, we will not share all the areas for both schools, but we will share some areas.
Yes.
Some, especially like the extra practice field and the soccer field. We know that the pre-K-8 school already, Walnut Hill has already had soccer teams, so we do plan on sharing those spaces. For example, the baseball and softball field, they aren't planning on having baseball and softball, so it's unlikely that they'll ever need to use those in addition to like tennis courts or anything like that. But, we'll work closely together, and if we can share things, we will.
Yeah, I know you've done it in the past, and I hate to assume I understand everything, but I think that's what the question was, and that's why I wanted you to step in and answer.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. Ola, thank you. All right. I don't see any additional questions coming in right now. We'll give it a couple of minutes. Okay. All right. Well, here we go. We have another comment. It says, please elaborate on the type and height of perimeter fence. Okay. Ola?
Yeah, the exact design of it hasn't been established, but it'll be an ornamental fence and most likely 8 feet tall.
Okay. And will there be a playground for the pre-K-8 campus?
Yes, there will be. And the fence is 6 feet tall.
6 feet, okay.
Yeah.
Can you identify the playground or the playgrounds for the PK8? Ola, on the screen?
So we have one right around this area. There's one on the south end of the PK8, and there's one indicated on the west side.
Okay,
It's all behind fencing.
yes. And also the green area located to the left of Walnut Hill Pre-K School.
This one?
Yep, that's an open playground, open play
There's
area.
an activity field.
Yes. Okay. Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and let's see. Oh, we have one last question that just came in. Okay, it says, when evaluating design options, what measure of goodness is used? Specifically, do you estimate the cost of ownership or just construction cost? I'll start the answer on this one. Is we consider all the aspects of the construction cost, the long-term operational cost for the district. The goal for DISD is to be that good neighbor in every location where we have a campus that serves the community. So we want to make sure that we are taking into consideration all the impacts that are going on, and we want to make sure that all the community's concerns are addressed as best as we can, and our design teams are focused on that goal also.
And I can add maybe a few things to that. Is as we go through the process, we're looking at how can we build this and what's the most efficient, cost-efficient way to provide a facility that will provide a 50-year or 70-year facility, and where are the costs long-term and short-term, and we make assessments on where the money is well spent, also how it works with the neighborhood. So it's a very holistic approach to building this. At the same time, of course, we got to watch the current budget, but there's a discussion about every decision along the way. So we're not doing just spec project on this. It is a deeper concern about what we're designing and how it's built and how it's going to last. So hopefully that answers the question about the cost of ownership versus construction cost. It's not one or the other. It's both in concert.
All right. Thank you, Ola. Okay, our time is near. We have about 6 minutes left. Margot, I don't know if you have any closing remarks.
No, other than I just want to make sure that everyone's questions have been addressed. And if those listening in don't feel like they've gotten their question addressed, I would like them to either email me or the council member's office, and we will see if we can get a more clear answer offered to them. I'd also like them to know that the staff report for this matter is now on the website, and I will on the CPC on the City of Dallas website, and I will see if anybody wants a copy of the staff report that addresses the zoning case. I can get it to them as well. Is Councilmember Gates still on? She may be able to address this as well.
Yes, she's still on. Her microphone's muted.
Okay, is that, am I unmuted now?
Yes, you're good, ma'am.
Sorry. So I'm sorry, Margot. And also I was getting a text from the neighborhood president over there that had a few other questions and he was unable to get in. So I was trying to read, or I'm sorry, Margot, so what was your question? I'm going to try to get Bob's questions answered as well.
Jennifer, can we put a copy of the staff report on the city website so they can easily access it? I can also get it mailed out to Mr. Noyes so he can distribute it as well, so that everyone understands what the zoning ask was and how the staff analyzed the zoning request.
Yes, we can get that, and we can get this out to the neighborhood leaders in that area. So I think we need to get a little timeline for them of what dates we think, obviously before this Thursday, before it's going to go CPC, and then when it's going to be scheduled for council. And then it'd be helpful if there's specific questions, if there's a DISD representative, and they could address it to me, but I'm going to have to be getting most of those answers through a DISD representative. So if we could have somebody that's available, or if it's Carl or whoever, that I can answer those questions. I know Bob Noyes he's off the call now, but he as well had some additional questions that I think we need to make sure we get followed up on.
Okay, and also the public is encouraged to participate in the City Plan Commission hearing this Thursday. And they can go, I think we'll send that information as well to Mr.
Right.
Noyes.
Yeah, obviously these situations are unique, so it's a different direction on how to participate. So Margot, if we can work with my office and make sure that we get that out as well.
Okay, so we will do that first thing in the morning because I want everyone to know that there is a staff report that outlines the zoning request and provides staff analysis of the zoning request. And then we will include instructions on how to participate in Thursday's City Plan Commission hearing. I think they can send a notice in that they wish to participate, and there's a call-in number, and they will be recognized when the matter is up in the docket.
Okay. And for DISD, do you have any mechanism to know how many people were able to participate or listen in tonight's meeting?
Yes, ma'am. Once we close the session, we'll be able to pull all that information.
Okay, so we'll know how many people we are able to reach with
Yes.
with this
Yeah.
platform. Okay, because I just want to make sure that everybody's in understanding of what the proposal looks like and what the traffic impact. Thank you for working with the concerns and trying to pull the traffic off the neighborhood streets. I know in the past we've had, Gooding and Gooding and not Killian, but the street that is
South Better and Hedgeway.
Hedgeway was the one I was thinking of. So it pulls off Hedgeway and Gooding. And hopefully the few homes that are on Killian were able to listen in tonight. We want to make sure we've asked DISD to reach out to them directly. So I'm sorry, not Killian. I meant Hedgeway is Hedgeway is the new street that with the entrances on, right? And there's just a couple homes on Hedgeway. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And those that we've asked you to reach out to. And we've taken the traffic off Gooding and Killian. Yes.
Yes.
All right. I think that's all from me. Thank you. And again, we'll make sure we push out all the information. Is this presentation then available as well that we can share?
Yes, it will be on our district website.
Okay, great. We'll pull that off.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, I want to thank everybody. Margot, do you have one last comment?
Yeah, if anybody wants to email me their comments and I can share them with my colleagues on the commission in advance of Thursday's hearing, I'm happy to do that. My email address is cpc-d13@dallascityhall.com. They can also send them directly to Councilmember Gates' office as well, and her office will forward them to me. We just want to make it as easy as possible. So I'm sorry, I'm not handing out virtual business cards, but if you go to Councilmember Gates' website, I think you can get her contact information. I think mine is also there as well. So I just encourage you to offer public input. I know, as Councilmember Gates said, these are challenging times, but we're going to bend over backwards to make sure that we hear from the neighbors. And thank you all for tuning in today. This is super important. But if you need to contact me, just email me or give me a shout. Call Mr. Noyes. He knows how to get a hold of me as well. So thank you.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Margot. We do have a couple of last-minute questions that came in through Facebook. One of the questions is, what time do we expect the project to finish? I can answer that one pretty quickly. As Dr. Hinojosa mentioned in his press conference, that students will be back in by the 22-23 school year cycle. So they'll be back in the school by August of 2022. And just backwards planning a little bit, we should be wrapping things up in July of 2022. There's a note here that the carpool area is the same for both schools. We could drop elementary students next to middle school. And that is more of an operational question, but since the PK-8 is now from pre-kindergarten all the way through 8th grade, that will be based off of different time drop-offs for your elementary as well as your middle school students, but they would be at the same campus, at that same building. And then high schools would be at the other entrance. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for attending. If there is any more information or you have more comments, you can always visit the www.dallasisd.org/bond2015. And you'll see the information from today's presentation posted there. And you will also see on May 20th, we have an architectural presentation for Thomas Jefferson High School at 6 p.m. And on the 21st, we have a presentation for the architectural presentation for the pre-K-8 Walnut Hill campus. All right, I want to thank everybody for their attendance, and everybody have a good evening.